Hi everybody, it's Sarah Cray with Let's Make Art, and today we are doing our April watercolor calendar tutorial. If you have no idea what we're talking about, we came out with some watercolor calendars, and every month I'm doing a fun little project with the corresponding month. We are doing it a month ahead of time so you guys can enjoy the painting during the entire month. For example, we're in March right now, I'm doing April's, all of that kind of stuff. Okay?
Perfect.
If you don't have watercolor calendars, you can get them on our website, letsmakeart.com. And if I were you, I would buy like a few. And then when it came to do the tutorials, batch them. And then at the end of the year, you have like 4 homemade Christmas gifts that you can give.
But Sarah, wait, aren't calendars pre-printed? Won't that not work that you can give this year's calendar next year?
Michael, that's such a great point. We specifically decided to make these dateless watercolor calendars. So yes, we have the month and the days of the week, but we don't have the year. So then you guys can keep these and they're evergreen. Okay?
Excellent.
Excellent. Okay. Anyways, if you need them, you can find them on our website. We're going to do this project in 5 steps. So our very first step is we're going to do a yellow loose wash. Our second step is we're going to start putting in some green foliage. Our third step is we're going to put in even more green foliage and some trees. Our fourth step is we'll start putting in the silhouette of our foreground foliage and our rabbit. And then the last step is just any details. Okay?
Perfect.
What I love about this project too, excuse me, is there's no outline. You guys can adjust as you see fit. If you don't feel comfortable doing an animal silhouette, you can take it off and it's still a gorgeous April spring painting. So that's not a huge deal. And then the other thing, and I don't know if you guys remember this, but in January, we did like sunlight through trees for our January tutorial. And I thought it actually might be kind of cute if you guys wanted to use that same composition and just change up the colors to what we're doing. So then it's like the same scene, but a different season.
Super cute.
Just an idea. You don't have to do it, but I thought that might be fun. Okay.
Also, this is a special painting because my birthday's in April.
So April is a really big deal.
April is a really big deal.
Okay, let's do our oath and then we will get into painting. So if you can raise your right hand and repeat after me. I promise to be kind to myself.
I promise to be kind to myself.
I promise not to compare my work.
I promise not to compare my work.
And I promise to have fun.
I promise to have fun.
Thank you. We listed the supplies in the description, but I'm a big fan of literally using whatever you have. Okay?
You guys want some? Oh, sorry. What?
I was just going to say, if you don't have the same color, don't stress. If you don't have the same brush, use whatever brush you have. If you have a different piece of paper, that's cool too.
Right. If you don't like bunnies, don't paint one.
Don't paint a bunny. It's not a big deal.
I was going to offer some deep lore to the Let's Make Art community.
Great.
I add in the bell noise in the tutorials because our sound canceling works so good that it actually cancels the physical bell that I ring every time, and I have to re-add it in.
Are you serious?
Yes.
But you hold it right up to the
Doesn't matter. It kills it. It cuts it out. We film right by a road, so we do like some pretty heavy noise canceling. The bell gets filtered out. I add in a bell sound.
Oh. Interesting.
Deep lore.
Deep lore. Behind the scenes. Only here at Let's Make Art. We tell you the truth, okay? We break down that third wall. We lay it all bare, you guys.
That's right.
I'm not even real. Okay.
AI?
I'm AI. We decided to tell you now.
I'm not even real.
Okay, ready?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to start by wetting my entire paper, and I'm going to want to work fairly quickly because this paper dries pretty fast. And so I want to I'm just going to go for it. So I'm going to have my foliage brush ready. If you have no idea what a foliage brush is, I make my own. I have a YouTube video on how to do that. You can find that on our channel. And let's go. Honestly, you could probably use a larger brush that will wet your piece of paper faster, but sometimes I just use whatever's closest to me. Okay.
I kind of look forward to these calendar paintings. I think they're fun and quick and really adorable.
Me too. I love them. And if you're nervous about painting in your calendar for the first time of a project, do it on a scratch piece of paper first. You know, you can do, oh, there's paint on my, that's all right. You can just do it a scratch piece of paper first. Okay. Now I'm going to take a yellow color and I'm going to put in some yellow paint. I'm going to kind of avoid the top as if the sunlight is kind of coming right from that center. Okay. So even though it's wet, there's going to be some yellow that bleeds into there. But for the most part, The strongest yellow is kind of like this area right here, okay? And I'm working quickly. I'm just moving fast. I'm going to grab a little bit of Q burnt orange and mix that with my yellow. And I'm going to start to put that in a little bit. And you can see I'm just doing like very loose marks. Basically, I'm putting the idea of foliage. And you might say the idea of foliage. That's really a bizarre way to say it. And that's because I'm not really paying attention to making sure that it's fully fleshed out. I really just want to start adding a hint of textures, a little bit of movement to show that, yes, there are some layers of trees, all of that kind of stuff. And then I'm going to start to put in my ground using that yellow. Now remember, my page is wet, so all of this color is going to blend out. That's kind of what we want. Okay, good job. Step one. Now step two, I'm going to grab my foliage. I'm going to take some green, undersea green is what I'm using. I'm going to mix it with some Q gold or some brighter yellow that I have to make it a warm green. And we start putting in foliage. Now remember, page is wet. Foliage is going everywhere, but notice that I'm not going all the way to the top here. I'm letting some of that orange and that gold have its moment. I'm not trying to cover that up. And the reason for that is we're trying to communicate that there is a color transition happening due to the light, the sunlight. And so I'm not going to let my green go all the way. I want to make sure this stays nice and gold right there in the center. And maybe just a little bit down here, kind of at this horizon line. The other thing I want you to pay attention to is when we initially lay down our brush strokes, it's going to, like when we initially put it down, it stays. And then when you go back to it, you're like, oh my gosh, that totally like evened out. That's okay. As we keep adding layers, our paper is going to dry. As our paper dries, those marks are going to stay more and more sharp. Okay. So it's okay that it's really loose right now. As we keep adding those layers, it's going to, we'll be able to like sharpen them, I guess, or they'll be like more in focus. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah. I'm picking up what you're putting down.
You're picking up what I'm putting down. Okay, and I'm adding some of that green along here. And I really just want to make sure that this center right here is this nice swoop of strong gold. I'm really kind of emphasizing this idea of sunlight right there. Okay. And I'm probably in the bottom quarter or third of my painting. Now I'm going to take undersea green. Nope, no, I'm not. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start putting in some trees. So I'm going to take Q burnt orange, a little bit of coral. Coral!
Where's your mother?
Where's your mother? Coral! Coral! And some indigo. And mix that to get a brown.
Huge fan of that purple on your palette right there. That's
this is Q purple, isn't it?
That's
just
excellent. Yeah.
Stunning.
Good one.
Okay. So using this brown, and you can mix brown in various ways. You can do green and red. You can do orange and black. You can do purple and yellow. It's basically complementary colors. So once I have my brown, I'm going to put in some trees. Notice that I'm lifting up my brush for foliage. Now this is our first layer of trees. This is going to kind of fuzz out. It's going to kind of create its own thing, do its own whatever, and I embrace it. This is a loose painting. We're not trying to control every aspect. Okay, that's it. Now I'm going to switch to my foliage brush, grab some more undersea green, and I'm going to add a little bit of phthalo. And I'm going to just start adding foliage. Don't be afraid to paint over top of the trunks that you just put in. Also, don't be afraid with your foliage brush to twist it as you make your marks. Sometimes if we hold it in the exact same position the whole time, then we're actually just making the same mark over and over again, where when it comes to foliage, the beauty is in the inconsistent. So don't be afraid to like go at a different angle, kind of thing. And that will just add to realism and texture. You can see this spot here has dried before the other areas. I'm not mad about that. I'm not going to try and re-wet it. It's fine. Like, it's really not that big of a deal. If anything, those types of things, we can lean into it and say, oh my goodness, there's mist coming out behind that tree. Isn't that beautiful?
A gentle mist.
A gentle mist. And I did that on purpose because I'm very intentional about every mark I make in my painting. And people say, wow, you're a very serious artist. And you say, thank you. And that's it. Nobody has to know anything else.
You're pretty cool for an AI robot.
Wow. That is, I will for sure tell my creator. Okay. I'm doing some horizontal strokes just to kind of ground what we have going on here. And I just want you to notice that we're using the same colors here, but just by the direction and texture of our mark making, that's giving information. Because I'm doing foliage brush textures here, we're like, great, bushes. Because I'm doing horizontal lines down here, we're like, great, that's ground. And I just want you to notice the power in that, how the direction of your brush and the texture of your brush really lends itself to giving information to our viewers of what the heck is going on in our painting, okay? So this is looking great. I'm loving it. I'm loving it. I really do love how that kind of turned out with that dry spot. Yeah. Total accident. Fantastic. I love it when that happens. Okay, so at this point, we're kind of hoping for our paper to be only damp at this stage. Now that we're starting to add kind of more our darker value greens, we want this to be a little bit more controlled. So I'm just gonna like chill for a second, let my paper dry just for a minute. It doesn't have to be completely dry, but what I don't want is as soon as I put in a dark value, and we can test it by, I'll put in a few dark values and we just let that sit for a second and see what it does. And if it completely disperses and disappears almost, then our paper is still a little bit too wet. So you just want to let that dry just for a minute. Michael, how do you feel about the fact that you married an AI woman?
Best decision I ever made.
I regret nothing.
Very knowledgeable.
Yes.
That's all I got.
That's it. That's all I can offer. Okay, great. Wow. Okay, let's try this other side. Oh yeah, see how that's holding its shape more than that? Mm-hmm. That's good. That's what we want. So let's go for that. Remember, every new layer that we add on, I'm not going to the previous layer. I'm bringing it in a little bit. So then each layer has its moment to shine in the center. And don't be afraid to get in between the trees too. And you want to make sure that this dark value or color that you're putting down is going to the ground, because that's how we kind of communicate the horizon right there. And also, if you think about foliage, it always like kind of comes out and then underneath it's like empty and bare. So we do darker values there to separate the foliage sticking out coming towards us and then the lack of foliage kind of at the bottom of the trees or something like that. So I'm just going to do a few little marks here. I want to be kind of careful with this color on my brush and not go all the way to the center, just because I have a really dark value on my paintbrush. And if I were to put that right in the center, then it would kind of flatten everything. The lighter value in the center is almost creating this path through, as if there's a way through those trees. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. If you want to block it off and do a line there, you can. Just lighten your value so it doesn't feel so flat. Okay, and then I'm going to take this same dark green and go with the bottom of my painting. Now, I'm still using my foliage brush because I'm not afraid of the textures that I'll get. But if you want to switch to a round or any other kind of brush, you're welcome to. I just kind of like that you get kind of this uneven texture sometimes with the foliage.
I love that color green on top of the yellow, you know?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
perfect.
Now, if you feel like there is no ground here, that you don't like, that it's kind of just floating through space and it's really difficult for you, then just rinse your brush. So then there's barely any color. And then that's where you put in just a little bit of a line. Okay. And I feel like I can go one more wash with that bright yellow on my ground. Now, the thing I want you to remember too is we're going to be doing some silhouette kind of bushes along here. So I want to make sure that my ground is far enough that when I do my silhouette bushes, it's not going to cover the whole ground. Okay, that looks good. Let's do another layer on our trees here. Our paper is a little bit more dry, so the brown is going to stay a little bit better. And if you want to kind of add more branches, you can. And don't be afraid to make a wonky tree. Wonky trees exist. There's like only wonky trees, pretty much, you know?
Normalize wonky trees. That's been
Normalize wonky
my
trees.
campaign slogan.
All trees are valuable trees. All trees are beautiful trees. Okay. And if some of your trunks are thicker than others, that's cool too. Depending on the type of tree, depending on how old it is, that's all information um, that is true, you know? So it doesn't matter if yours are thicker than mine or thinner than mine, because all of that is dependent. And then sometimes I like to do like skinnier ones as if they're farther away. Kind of like in the background going. Don't be afraid of doing little branches too if you want. If you're going to do a couple thin trees as if they're like background trees, you just want to make sure that they're a little bit lighter in value. Then that way you have some depth when it comes to your trees and foliage. Okay, that looks great. We're gonna do one more layer here of this dark green along my trees. And at this point, I'm gonna introduce a little bit of indigo to my undersea green. And that's just gonna make it a darker green. So again, I'm not covering up everything that I painted before. It's mainly just putting in these kind of darker values just to give it some form. Okay, that looks good. Then I'm gonna ground it. Okay. And then because we did layers of washes, you might be starting to get some blooms, which is like these hard edges here. I don't get mad at that because I think it actually speaks to ground how we would see it. The ground is not perfectly this smooth ombre. You know, there's different patches of grass, there's different patches of sunlight, there's different growth happening at different places. Maybe some deer laid on it and it kind of like made it crunched up so then it would make it a different value. All of those kind of things can add to your painting. And so in our head, we try and make it perfect by doing a perfect even wash. But actually, if it's too even, it will flatten. It will make it seem like there's no depth in there. So anytime I can have a wisp of another color, some texture, some shadow, I kind of embrace that in like grassy fields because it will lend itself to the painting. Okay, this is looking good. I will say that if at some point you're like, okay, I love the texture I got of my foliage. I really feel like it lost some texture here. Like, because look how smooth that is. You can go back and add some, but you just want to be really careful about it. And by really careful, what I mean is rinse your brush really, really good. You're going to want to pick up like a really light value of Q burnt orange / Q gold. And I'm just going to do a little bit just so you guys can see how to do it. But don't discredit this because this is really beautiful as well. Sometimes just leaving it alone is the best thing to do. I just want to show you that you have the ability to adjust things if you want. So you would take a light value and just right along here. And that might even be too dark. So I'm going to wipe my brush. So it's just the softest hint of texture and foliage right there. So it just seems like it's continuing on and the light is hitting it, which is why it's yellow. Do you see that?
Hmm.
So if you like that, you can add it to yours. The biggest thing is paying attention to the value of it. If it's a dark value of yellow, it's going to feel disjointed.
I know the joke is over, but I just thought of the perfect name for you as an AI.
What?
Sarah Cray. Huh? Thank you.
I love it. Okay. Okay, so we're going to our fifth step here, which is where we're going to start adding in some silhouettes. Now, I decided to add the layer of the silhouette for two reasons. One, any time that you can add more and more layers, it's going to make your painting feel more dimensional. And so sometimes I like to do like a foreground silhouette layer because it kind of frames your painting and it's not a lot of extra work, but it makes your painting look a little bit more advanced.
Yeah.
And then the second reason is because I want to do a silhouette of a bunny, but I can't just do this scene and then just do a bunny silhouette right here, because then that really dark value silhouette of the bunny will not relate to any other value on our painting. So we need to introduce that value in order for the silhouette to make sense. If you don't want to do any silhouette and you want to do just a bunny, you can. You would probably lean more towards browns though, and instead of just a black flat silhouette. Does that make sense?
Hmm.
Okay. So with my foliage brush and with some, where's my indigo? Indigo here. You don't have to use straight black. I usually like to lean more like a really, really dark blue or really, really dark green. And let's say like, okay, there's some bushes coming up over here. If you've done like our firefly project, it's kind of similar to that idea. And if you want to practice like silhouettes or doing this kind of dimensional painting with silhouettes, I recommend checking out that project, the firefly one. And then to continue on framing, it's almost like there's some foliage coming in over here off of a tree. It's out of the frame. We only see like this edge of foliage coming into view. And you can even connect these two parts if you want. Okay. I'm going to do the same thing over here. Try and make sure your tape is taped all the way down so you get a nice clean edge. But if there's a little bit of bleeding, it's not the end of the world. Now, whenever you do silhouettes of foliage, the center of it is going to be its most concentrated. So that's where you're going to have not a lot of white gaps along the edge of your silhouette of foliage. That's where we're going to want to let a lot of air in and some space in, because the perimeter of things is showing the actual edge and texture of them, where the center it's so overlapped that it's going to be really condensed. Let's do some more kind of foliage. Also, there's so many different types of trees and bushes and things like that that I don't have to like make sure it looks specifically like something. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
And then here, if you want to do like maybe it's some tall grass coming in. You're like, The grass is as tall as these bushes? Sure. It's a forest. Why not? Okay. And now we do our bunny. So I'm going to do it off to the side on the right-hand side. I don't want to do it directly in the middle. I mean, it's your painting, you can, but usually putting anything directly in the middle of your painting is like a composition no-no. So you always put it off to the side a little bit. I'm going to start with the body. I'm going to put it right here. So the back is kind of rounded this way. Then the front, it's the chest. So it's kind of like this roundish shape. Always start smaller, because then if you need to adjust the shape of anything, you can always make it bigger. So start smaller on purpose, and then if you need to adjust it, you can. And maybe there's like a hint of a little bit of a foot. Maybe there's a hint of a little bit of a tail. Now we got to go up to the neck. For the head, we just do the back of the head. And then the head, it kind of comes out and it's just rounded. And it's just like, wow, that's a really tiny head.
It's like a vulture. It'd be so funny to do this, like, I don't know, vulture version, like a Halloween version of this, but in the spring. Just do like Halloween creatures.
Oh yeah, that would be funny. So I'm just making my head a little bit bigger. Okay. And then you do the ear. I'm going to start with one ear, kind of coming off the back here. Okay. And then I feel like I need to do like a second ear. Like we kind of see the hint of another ear there. And then I can kind of look at my shape and be like, okay, that still looks like a big chunky body, but I'm actually kind of okay with it.
Yeah.
Because it, to me, instead of it looking like it is a profile, it to me looks like this is its full back and it's just looking to the left.
Mm. Yeah, I
You
can
know
see
what
that.
I'm saying?
Yeah, definitely.
So sometimes, and this is what's really interesting about silhouettes when you're painting them, is we have in our mind the position of the body while we're painting the silhouette. But it's really tricky to do sometimes. And so what I like to do is I just go for it. And then before I try and fix it, I release that image of what I have in my head of what the silhouette is doing. And I just look with fresh eyes at the perspective of what I painted. And I say, can this position still work as if, and just pretend the body is in a different position? And if the answer is yes, I say, fantastic, I did it, I'm done. Because sometimes when we have something in our mind that the position needs to be, and we go and we go and we go and we go, the silhouette just tends to get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and wonkier. And so sometimes if a position can work, you let it be, because it's better than trying to rework it over and over again. That's how I feel. So I think that works. I'm not going to try and do it. It's the back is to me and it's looking to its left. Perfect. This one, that feels more like a profile. This one actually feels like it has a little bit more dimension. So I'm not mad about that at all. And also remember, like, there's different size bunnies, there's different types, like you can do one or two if maybe you don't like just that single one. I'm going to ground it just a little bit by putting a little bit of a grass texture around my little fella. What's this bunny's name, Michael?
Chudley.
What?
Chudley.
Chudley. Perfect name.
Thank you.
Perfect choice. I love it.
He's fancy.
He's fancy. And then I'm just going to do some last minute details. So basically anywhere where I think there can be a little bit more something, I just kind of take a look. Sometimes it's fun just to do a little texture on some of the edge of the grass here, as if it's like the weeds or something, or maybe a flower. I don't know. And you can even do some branches maybe coming in. The biggest thing you want to remember is closest to the taped portion, we want to make sure that black line kind of goes all the way to the taped portion, just on the silhouetted areas. Okay. And we're done.
Love it.
Should we remove the tape?
Yes.
Let me
it's the
make
best
sure
part.
it's dry. Oh, I really do like my little Chudley. Is that what you said?
Yes.
Isn't that a Harry Potter? The Chudley? Maybe I'm thinking of Dudley and I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know where it
Chudley
came from. It
Cannons or something.
just came to me.
Well, I love it.
Do you feel pretty Sarah O'Cray about it?
Sarah Cray.
Cray, I know, but if you feel okay, you're O'Cray.
Yeah. Yeah, I do.
The puns are on today.
The puns are on today. Before I remove my tape, as I'm watching this dry, there are just some moments that I'm so in love with that I want to point out. This little guy right here where it dried first, love it. This section right here where that green kind of bleeds into the yellow, love it. The watermarks right here, love it. There are some things that I don't love about this painting too. The trees are okay. I don't love the trees, and I don't love the silhouette of the branches coming in here. And it's okay to look at a painting and have parts of it that you love and have parts of it that you don't love. Every painting is going to have that.
Also, those are my favorite parts that you don't like. You know what I mean?
Really?
Yeah, I love the trees in this one.
And that's what it's relative. It's all a relative thing. And so you can look at your own painting with a critical eye of saying, oh, I love this. Oh, I don't love this. What can I do different? Blah, blah, blah. But don't utilize it as a way for you to like emotionally abuse yourself. Don't use it as a reason to say that, you're not valuable or you're not good at this or you should never paint again. That's not the point of looking at your paintings to see what you like or you don't like. So please don't do that. Okay, now I'm just going to carefully remove the tape. And I stuck a little piece of tape underneath here, so then no paint would go through the hole because my front tape didn't cover the whole thing. But sometimes your front tape covers the whole thing, so then it's fine. Okay, and again, just be gentle when you're removing it. You're going to want to pull away from your paper. I had a little bit of bleeding there, but that's not a huge deal. Let's make sure I painted on April. I know one of these months I'm going to paint on the wrong month.
Yeah, it's bound to happen.
Well, all right. Yes. April. Okay, should we go through every month?
Yes.
Okay, all of these tutorials are up, you guys. So if you want to paint any of these, you can. We have January.
Beautiful.
So you could do this same exact thing that we just did and do like a bunny silhouette right here if you want. Just an idea.
Or a vulture.
February. March. April.
I mean, April's obviously the best, but March is my second favorite.
I do love March. Honestly, my favorite is February.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it.
Stunning.
It's like winter romantic, which I feel like that's what February is. Love it. Okay, anyways. Thank you guys so much for painting with me. I had a blast. I can't wait to see your calendars. Again, if you want like a really fun, easy way of Christmas gifts, just buy a few of them, batch paint it all at one time. And then by the time December rolls around, you have some awesome gifts to give or to keep. And I'm just having the best time with this series. So thank you guys so much. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye.